That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Well, I mean, we filter out the chicken bones and kind of the stuff that clogs the arteries. Yeah, we filter that out and try to get most of the water out of it also.
Right.
And you.
Hey, Peter, welcome back.
Hey, Cecil, it's good to be back. How's it going?
Good. So this is That Don't Sound Right, broadcasting from Camel City, from the Tdsr garage and studios.
Wait a minute. Why do you call it Camel City?
Camel City.
People don't know why we call it Camel City.
I think we should leave it as a mystery. See if they can figure it out. Talk amongst themselves.
Well, maybe they can ask us the question. Don't Google it.
Don't Google it.
That's against the philosophy.
TDR, the TDR philosophy. That's correct. So congratulations on passing 3,000 downloads.
I did it myself.
All by yourself. Yeah, people have said that you're carrying the show.
No, not true. So I was trying to do the math. What does that really equate to the amount of consistent listeners?
So I think this is the 43rd or 44th, which would make a difference. 43rd or 44th right. Episode.
Okay, all right. So we should do something for our 52nd episode because we've done this once a week.
Yes.
Every week it'll be going on a year.
Yes.
That's pretty good stuff.
That is. We will we'll dream up something special for the 52nd episode.
Yeah,
I've got some feelers out there for that.
All right, maybe something live.
Maybe something live.
We can invite folks to come and just hang out with us as we speak into these microphones.
I've got a feeler out there for a particular. Maybe we can have a particular event. We'll see how it goes.
All right.
So we'll try to get y'all a date to put in your save the date before too long.
Well, congratulations on 3,000 downloads.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not insignificant.
No. And thank you all for giving us 3,000 downloads.
Yeah, that is really nice. That is really nice. We don't deserve this.
No.
As we find out every time we listen to our episode.
The Pat sent us a very nice message today on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that. You forwarded it to me. She actually learned something from one of our episodes.
Which is a little scary.
Well, here's the thing, is that same episode, my wife said she just about fell asleep talking about car batteries.
Well, the person that gives us tonight's episode did something that I think might be dangerous.
Okay, I'm all ears. I don't know anything what's going on.
In a drive from Washington, D.C. back to Atlanta, he binged That Don't Sound Right.
Whoa, wait a minute.
He essentially listened to all the episodes in one sitting.
When did he do this? A couple weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago. So it was about 40 episodes.
So 40 times about 12 minutes each, right? We're at 1,200 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's...
He's the only one that I know that... it was my brother. He's the only one that I know that has done that.
Yeah, yes. Is he okay?
He seems okay.
All right, okay. Did he make it back okay?
He made it back.
Did he have to stop and take a nap?
That's a good question.
Because that is a solid, good grief, that's a solid 12-hour drive.
Yeah, it's 12 hours, at least.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, but we kept him company for 12 hours.
Man.
Well, not for 12 hours, but for 1,200 minutes of 12 hours. But anyways, the topic this week comes from him.
Oh, okay,
and
excellent.
I think this is something that you are going to be very interested in.
All right.
Because I think that you have actually done a version of this.
Oh, boy.
So, have you heard about people that try to get every possible mile out of a gallon of gas?
Like hypermiling?
Hypermiling.
Oh, yeah, I've experimented with some hypermiling before.
You have. So you know what I'm talking about.
I do know exactly what you're talking about. I know another guy in town that you and I know together. He's done it before, too.
Hypermiling.
Hypermiling. We called it hypermiling. It happened, the last time we did this was when right after Katrina hit. And that's when the fuel prices really spiked.
Right. So this is a timely... This is it.
I mean, this is the other time you would do it because
Right.
this is the time when fuel prices are higher than that.
So I've actually seen there's 3 types of hypermiling.
Okay.
There's gasoline engine hypermiling.
All right.
There is airplane or air travel hypermiling.
All right.
And there's electric car battery hypermiling.
Okay, I can buy. I guess I can buy that.
Right. So that's the 3 that I have recently seen. Somebody tried to get every mile out of the airplane seems to be the most dangerous.
Well, that's the one
of the
that
3.
don't sound right.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a couple that there's 3 things you need to have when flying, right?
Exactly. Altitude, airspeed, and ideas.
And it would seem that you would run out of 2 pretty quick if you were hypermiling.
I would not want to hypermile.
Jet fuel.
Yes, that would not be my way to hypermile. But the reason I think you would like it is because you actually had a biodiesel car at one time.
Oh, it was not biodiesel. It was even more rudimentary than that. And this will make you say that don't sound right. It ran off of used vegetable oil.
Yes.
Yes. So biodiesel is taking the used vegetable oil and processing it with methanol and actually turning it into more like a diesel product. But no, this is straight up vegetable oil. I mean, we filter out the chicken bones and kind of the stuff that clogs the arteries. Yeah, we filter that out and try to get most of the water out of it also.
Right.
And you have to modify your car to preheat the oil so once the oil gets hot, it has about the same viscosity as diesel, and then the injectors can shoot it into the car and it'll burn normal. And it smells pretty good, actually. I mean, it smells like, whatever you cooked in, it smells like that, but a little burnt.
Right. So you converted what, Mercedes?
No, I converted a GMC diesel in a GMC Yukon.
Oh, really? I was thinking you had a Mercedes.
No. That's a very popular one to do.
Right.
I wanted an SUV. Let's go big, go home.
So you've actually hypermiled.
Well, see, that's not what I call hypermile.
Well, right, but I mean, away from the vegetable oil, aside from that, you've hypermiled.
Yeah, I've hypermiled gasoline gasoline vehicles. Right. That's right.
So I this was new to me.
Really?
When it was told to me, but as soon as I did it, I thought this would be a good topic.
Yeah, this is something.
So explain what hypermiling is.
Well, basically, it's doing everything you can to not run the engine.
Right. So
everything
coasting.
You can. So lots of coasting.
Okay.
Even if you're brave enough, you're shutting the engine off. You're going the speed limit, which actually I'm doing right now, and I found I've gotten about 15 to 20% better fuel economy by just going the speed limit during my commute to work. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
It's like people. I mean, I'm jamming up the roads, but I'm going the speed limit.
Yeah.
It's coasting. Yeah, it's shutting off the engine when you can. It's shutting off the engine at traffic lights.
Yes.
It's if you're not shutting off the engine, you're going in neutral.
Yes.
It's going as slow, using as little throttle as you can, going up the hill, gaining a little speed at the top, getting some momentum going down the hill, and letting the momentum carry you up the hill.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So somebody just recently set a record for hypermiling. I didn't see what it was, but I did catch a headline. It was, I mean, there's some extreme amount.
Well, was the record and they got the most miles per gallon out of a certain model vehicle? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's probably, I bet it's very specific now that if you went and looked in the record books, they would say, this is hypermiling for this particular car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I got the most miles in this particular car.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I bet there's not an overall. I bet there's an overall record and then records for individual cars.
Right. That's right. So I can understand the hypermiling in a vehicle, especially a diesel or gasoline vehicle. I can understand the hypermiling in an electric vehicle. Interestingly enough, there's a lot of technology in electric vehicles already to help you hypermile.
Because you can adjust the brake recharging on those things, right? Depending on how you want, because there's a recharge on the brake.
Yes, it regenerates.
But I think you can actually, on some of the newer models, adjust how the braking feels.
Okay.
And it will change the amount of recharge in the brake.
All right. I believe that. I know on some of them, if you don't let off all the way off the accelerator, it'll just roll. And if you let off all the way off the accelerator, it'll start regenerating. So that's one way they control it. So I can buy that. But really doesn't sound right to me is this whole hypermiling in an airplane.
Right.
So Do you know what this is about? I
don't know anything about hypermiling. I just saw the category. Hypermiling I saw 3 categories in hypermiling: gasoline engines, airplanes, and electric cars.
So I mean the way I've heard of them trying to save fuel is they just take that plane up as high as they can.
Right.
And as soon as they get up, they throttle back as much as they can to still stay in flight, but they're slightly losing altitude the rest of the way.
Gliding.
Basically, yeah. Gliding under as little power as you need.
That's probably what it is. It's gotta be. Yeah. I mean, they're watching they got to keep enough fuel to land it.
Right. They have enough fuel in case they can't land where they want to land.
Right. So this hypermiling thing is completely new to me. So I've actually started thinking about what I would do around town.
What have you done?
Well, I haven't been brave enough to implement. I certainly have been brave enough to cut it off at a light yet.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is cut it off while you're rolling. I mean, some people even go that far. You're only good for one brake, right? Because you lost your power brakes. Yes. You don't have any power steering, so.
Yeah, I have cut a car off before like that and lost all my power braking and steering, and that was no fun.
Now, you want to hear something that's what's going on in heavy trucks today.
What's that?
As you're driving and you get to the top of the hill and you start to go down, you're in cruise control. The truck will automatically drop it into neutral and let the engine idle as you roll down the hill. Huh. And then when you get to a certain point, puts it back into gear, applies the throttle, maintains your speed. And the next step of that they're going to do is they're going to turn the engine off. Huh. Yeah. Is that crazy?
That's pretty crazy.
Now
but it maintains all the systems, though.
They have to maintain all the systems with that, so they have to electrify the steering and the brakes to make sure you have all that. But that's all that seems to be coming our way. I bet you it's not too far away in cars.
Away from a car. Well, I do know that in the Hondas now, this is a similar concept, but not completely the same. Is in the Eco mode. Yeah. At least in the early Eco modes, they were cutting cylinders out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But you know what happens when you cut a cylinder out over time? Is that if you've got any bit of oil leaking past that cylinder and it cuts out, you're now creating you're gumming it up. Yeah. Because it's not completely burning clean. And I had a friend's car who had that happen to, and it just basically burned up 3 or 4 cylinders.
It ruined one of the cylinders.
No, several of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got stranded.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But it's that Eco mode that when they first started putting those Eco modes in, it wasn't sophisticated enough, and if as the engine aged, it would gum up those cylinders.
Well, I tell you what, I'm still a little wondering how much you really save in this hypermiling in a jet.
I didn't realize this would be the one that we end up.
That's the hang-up for me, man. That's the hang-up.
In the air. Well, I think if you were hypermiling in a real jet, like in a passenger jet, you would get up in you'd get up in the jet stream. Yeah. And throttle back.
Well, don't they automatically? I think
they automatically do.
They automatically get in the jet stream when they're flying.
But probably the aviation hypermilers, I would think are hobbyists.
Okay. No, I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the commercial jetliners.
I know. I'm thinking they're
commercial
hobbyists.
Cargo airliners. Are they doing this?
I'm thinking it's Cessna guys. It's guys that are in small planes that are trying to outdo each other on a tank.
How much fuel they can get? Right. How much fuel they can get on there?
Yep. That's what I think.
I'm sure there's a website. I'm sure there's a message forum where people are talking trash about it.
We know probably the original hypermilers were the cannonballers.
Oh, I bet you not.
Right, they're not going for efficiency, but they're going for amount of fuel on board.
They still do that today.
Yeah.
There's still these cannonballers today.
Yeah.
I mean, they will rig up extra fuel tanks. Yep. They'll wire their lights, their brake lights and their tail lights to a switch. So when they're cruising at night, they can go in dark mode. The back of the vehicle is blacked out. So they can blow by a policeman and they can just keep going. And the policeman won't even know where they are because they've been blacked out.
Can't see them.
Yep. That's still going on today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. They're still running it. And so usually they'll strip them down to where they're nothing but a frame and a bunch of gas tanks.
Yeah, and they'll just...
That's a different kind of hypermind.
That's a different kind of hypermind.
Yeah. But I think with the current fuel situation, hypermiling's going to be popular again if it's not.
Oh, I'm sure it's already back.
Right.
I'm sure it's already back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to hypermile with a manual transmission.
Yes.
Than it is with a automatic transmission.
Well, and I guess that's really what you're having with some of these hybrids too that cut off at a light. Automatically cut off.
Yeah,
they cut off when you brake.
They just shut the engines down. That's right. But they have automatics. They can throw it in the neutral and handle that.
Well, I knew this would be a good topic.
Oh yeah. Well, this is part of our automobile machinery series.
I knew that. I knew because of your history with the vegetable.
I'm always trying to beat the man. That's a fact.
Have you ever stored gasoline, like bought low and stored?
No, I haven't done that. I've never done.
That's what we should do next: is buy a storage facility and store our own gasoline.
But gasoline does have a shelf life. It just
evaporates.
It starts to go bad. It starts to collect moisture. And
that's true. It does.
I'm not sure the amount of time you'd have to hold on to it for it to actually be worth something.
Right.
Might exceed the life of the fuel itself.
Well, we should interject some words of wisdom there.
It sounds like you're ready to do that.
The words of wisdom this week don't completely apply to what we're doing, but it's always travel with a compass.
Always travel with a compass.
Yeah, well, especially when you're in the woods.
Oh, okay, yeah,
absolutely in the woods. But
right,
I think you should always have some type of compass guide with you, simply because you should always know kind of where you're at. Is
this something you have applied to your own personal life, where you always walking around with a compass?
No. Well, I do have a compass on my phone.
Okay, you do have.
But if I'm always out in the that's true. But if I'm out in the woods, I always have a compass.
All right.
Even if I'm going on a day hike, I always carry a compass.
So have you learned the tricks, though, of how to find north without a compass?
Most of them. Some of them work. Some of them
get you close.
Do you ever seen the one that they have with the watch and the hands on the watch?
That's the one I'm talking about.
Is that what we're talking about? I can never figure that one out.
That's the one. Well, daylight savings time will usually mess you up.
Yeah, I have never been able to figure that one out. You know what? We need to remember to do That Don't Sound Right on survival tips.
We can put that in the outdoor adventure series.
Because not every survival tip works.
No. Not every way of lighting a fire works.
No. I think there's a lot to be said about that.
Although I think it might be skill-based.
Like skill-based, practice-based.
We may have to use some of those skills that anyone can do. Because some of the skills that not everyone can do, people will say that don't sound right.
That don't sound right. I've got a good one.
But yeah,
I tried one time and it didn't work.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that the using the hands on a clock is really the only one I've been able to pull off. The whole floating a needle that has a static charge in a leaf full of water. I've never really messed around with it.
This is rich material now that I think about it. We need to come back to that.
All right, well, we'll be back.
But for today, we're at the end of another episode.
That went by quick.
It did. That's because we were both invested in this one.
Yeah, we're all cheap. We don't want to pay for gas.
Well, y'all keep talking.
And stay curious.